Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we are diving deep into a really timeless, profoundly moving narrative that explores the very fabric of human resilience and, honestly, the universe's ultimate sense of justice. We're going to be looking at the ancient Hindi folktale Waqt Ki Pariksha, which translates to the test of time. It's this masterful story that beautifully unpacks the whole concept of karma, and it takes us on this wild journey through devastating betrayal, totally unwavering integrity, and ultimate redemption. I am incredibly excited to guide you through this.
But, before we get into the nitty-gritty details, ask yourself this. Does being a good person actually pay off, or does it just make you an easy target? I mean, it's a universal philosophical question, right? We've all felt this at some point. You try to do the right thing, and yet life just seems to hand you one unfair hardship after another. Well, this tension is the exact framework of the narrative journey we're about to explore today, through the life of a guy who seemingly just couldn't catch a break.
So, here's our roadmap for today's Explainer. We'll follow Lakshman through 5 key chapters. Section 1 is the test of betrayal, then the weight of false accusations, the turning point of compassion, karma comes full circle, and finally, the ultimate reward. Let's just jump right in. All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the test of betrayal, focusing on greed versus contentment.
Now, right off the bat, you're going to notice this stark, almost uncomfortable contrast between our two main characters. On one side, we have Lakshman. He's a poor laborer, doesn't even own his own land, but he is deeply honest, hardworking, and entirely content with the little he has. And then, there's his wife, Rani. She is beautiful, but highly superficial. She actively desires luxury, completely resents their poverty, and places immense value on material wealth. This fundamental mismatch in values is basically the powder keg of our entire story.
And here is exactly how that powder keg explodes. The wealthy, super manipulative landlord of the village, a guy named Balwant Rai, sees Rani and immediately covets her. He clocks her superficiality right away and exploits it by gifting her this incredibly expensive, luxurious sari, something Lakshman literally could never afford. Seduced by this tiny taste of wealth, Rani doesn't just cheat, she outright demands a divorce, coldly telling Lakshman she just wants to rid herself of his poverty. Lakshman is absolutely crushed, and he chooses to just pack up and leave the village entirely in exile.
Which brings us to Chapter 2, the weight of false accusations, the descent into hardship.
You'd think losing his wife and his home would be enough of a trial, right? But no, Lakshman's bad luck is just getting started. His misfortunes begin to cascade so rapidly. On day 1, his wife leaves him for a rich man, forcing him into exile. A few days later, while he's wandering and starving, he stops to bandage a wounded cow, only to be violently accused of stealing it. Luckily, he proves his innocence, and the cow's owner, Seth Prem Chand, actually gives him a job. But then, months later, right when he's finally getting back on his feet, he gets framed for stealing a precious pearl necklace. The sheer societal and emotional pressure piling up on this guy is just astronomical.
Let's look a little closer at that last incident, because it highlights a really cruel reality. Lakshman's inherent goodness actually makes him a massive target. A coworker named Shok gets intensely jealous of Lakshman's rapid promotion and his pristine reputation around the shop. So what does Ashok do? He straight up steals their boss's pearl necklace and plants it right under Lakshman's bed. When it's found, Seth Premchand doesn't legally punish Lakshman, but he completely stops trusting him and fires him on the spot. So Lakshman is cast out into the streets once again, in total disgrace, stripped of his dignity.
And this brings us directly to the title of our explainer, Vakt Ki Pariksha. I want you to really absorb this definition. It's a period of intense, often deeply unfair hardship designed not to punish a person, but to test and reveal their true character. Sitting there in the dirt, falsely accused and totally abandoned, Lakshman literally prays, asking the universe if he is being punished or tested. It's a profound shift in perspective. Is the universe crushing him, or is it forging him into something stronger?
Let's transition into the third phase of our journey. Section 3, the turning point of compassion, finding light in the abyss. At this point, Lakshman is at absolute rock bottom. Stripped of his wife, his home, his reputation, his livelihood, he has absolutely nothing. And this brilliantly illustrates his true character. An old man takes pity on him and gives Lakshman a single piece of bread. As Lakshman sits down to eat his first real meal in days, a stray, starving dog approaches him. Despite hitting rock bottom, Lakshman doesn't hoard his meager resource. He chooses to act with profound compassion, literally breaking his only piece of bread in half to feed the dog.
And you won't believe what happens next. The dog, super grateful for the food, pulls at Lakshman's clothes and leads him deep into a hidden underground cave. Inside, Lakshman's eyes just widen as he discovers an ancient, unimaginable hoard of gold, diamonds, and jewelry. Sitting right on top of the treasure is a letter from a legendary ancient monarch, King Yudhishthira, and it reads, "This is in your destiny. Use this treasure to help the needy." See, the universe wasn't punishing Lakshman at all. It was waiting for him to prove his selflessness when he had nothing, just to ensure he could be trusted when he had everything.
Now we shift our focus to Chapter 4. Karma comes full circle. The cosmic scales balance.
As Lakshman steps into this massive new destiny, we got to look back at the villains of our story and see how the universe balances the cosmic scales. The crucial point here is how perfectly the universe delivers the consequences. Rani, who committed acts of greed and betrayal, is eventually used, framed, and forced to beg. Ashok, whose whole crime was envy and false accusation, is eventually caught actually stealing and is banished in disgrace. So the karma isn't random, it's highly specific to exactly what they did wrong.
Let's actually track Rani's tragic ruin step by step to really understand this. Remember, she was seduced by the mere illusion of wealth. But Balwant Rai, he never married her, he simply used her. And when he got bored, he framed her for bad behavior, turning the whole village against her. She was exiled in the exact same manner she caused Lakshman to be exiled, ultimately forced into the incredibly humiliating position of begging for her very survival on the streets. Her relentless desire for luxury literally led to total destitution.
Which brings us to our final, and honestly most powerful section. Section 5, the ultimate reward, grace over vengeance.
So armed with this immense wealth, Lakshman doesn't go seeking revenge, and he doesn't just kick back and live in indulgent luxury either. Instead, he builds a massive ashram. He hosts daily bandara, or food drives, making sure absolutely no one goes hungry. He provides financial aid for poor families' weddings, and he absolutely never turns away a single soul in need. He passes the test of wealth with the exact same unshakable integrity that he showed during his test of poverty.
And all of this builds up to just an incredible moment of dramatic irony. One day, a desperate, starving woman arrives at the ashram begging for a job and just a scrap of food. She is completely unaware that this magnificent estate belongs to the very husband she abandoned for being poor. Yep, it is, of course, Rani. When she looks up and realizes she is standing right in front of Lakshman, she fully expects rage and retaliation. But Lakshman just looks at her and delivers this breathtaking realization. He says, "I have no complaints against God. Because of what you did, I am who I am today." He holds absolutely zero anger toward her. He's realized that her cruel betrayal wasn't some horrible curse. It was the essential catalyst that pushed him out of his comfort zone, leading to his entire spiritual and material awakening.
And this right here perfectly captures the essence of true grace. While Radhi is bracing herself for anger, rejection, and revenge, Lakshman instead provides her with food, shelter, and a job at the ashram. However, and this is a vital distinction, he firmly severs all marital ties. He tells her she is no longer his wife, and he is no longer her husband. He treats her with the deep compassion of a philanthropist, but he maintains incredibly healthy, strict boundaries. Because, forgiveness does not mean allowing someone to just hurt you all over again.
The narrative threads actually tie up beautifully on the other side too, when his old boss, Seth Premchand, finally discovers Ashok the coworker trying to steal his safe keys. Realizing Ashok lied about Lakshman the whole time, the boss travels far and wide to find Lakshman and literally beg for forgiveness. And Lakshman meets him with that exact same profound karmic understanding. He forgives him immediately, noting that, hey, if he hadn't been fired that day, he never would have wandered out into the wilderness to find the treasure in the first place.
0. That is the exact number of complaints Lakshman holds against the universe. It's the number of grudges he holds against the people who completely ruined his life. He realizes that what felt like brutal, agonizing punishment at the hands of the universe was, in reality, vital preparation for a destiny way larger than he could have ever imagined.
Which brings us to our final thought for today's explainer. The next time you are facing an incredibly unfair hardship, some deep betrayal, or a setback that just makes absolutely no sense, ask yourself, is life punishing you, or is it simply preparing you for your treasure? Thank you so much for exploring this remarkable story with me, and I really hope it gives you a powerful new lens through which to view your own trials. Keep learning, keep seeking, and we'll explore another fascinating topic next time.